It wasn't until I actually started studying just you. Like I ignored everybody else, put away
Yeah.
anything else, that I really saw the most success with it. Because right now, like I know I'm doing an objection handling is like when someone, because again the leads are just crap, so I lose a little of the motivation to objection handle them. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, I just need to sleep on it. I was like, oh, well, it doesn't take time to make time to make an educated decision. It takes information, like an Alex Hormozy close. And I
Yeah.
was like, it doesn't click. And I was like, earlier today, the guy's like, oh, my card's not working. Let's whatever. I strictly did precision closer, everything you taught, and I got the deposit. I was like, okay, just stay on the yellow brick road, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. I talked with one of my clients, Owen, who went from just under $4,300 in commissions to over $10,000 in commissions in just 1 month, and how now he's on pace to do over $15,000 in commissions. He goes over exactly what helped him make that jump in just 1 month, Cecily's clues. So please take a listen and drop your biggest takeaways in the comments. Let's dive in. So we can definitely dive into it. But just for everyone, like what exactly like do you sell right now? Like what offer are you on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right now I'm selling like real estate coaching, like biz ops.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for since May of this year. And dude,
Uh-huh.
it B2C, because before I did any of this, I sold B2B. And
Yeah.
it's like going from B2B to B2C is two different beasts.
It definitely
Like
is.
I
Um,
sold like SaaS before, and I was like, I could
uh-huh.
focus on the numbers and do all that. But then you
Yeah.
get to the emotional side of people, and I'm like, dude, I don't get it.
Yeah. You can be super logical when it comes to selling SaaS.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here it is. All right, cool. Yeah, but now we're talking about selling a B2C, a real estate investment offer. Because typically, like the type of people, who are the type of people are you talking to?
Like blue collar people either trying to leave their 9 to 5 or just pick up extra income.
Yeah. So it's basically, it's a biz op, 9 to 5ers looking to become a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very squirrely bunch.
Yeah.
Okay. To say the least. So we've been, what has it been like 2 months? Us more like working
Yeah.
together, something like that?
A little under 2 months.
Little under 2 months. Okay. And so just so we have a baseline, because I'm not the first training you've done other type of trainings. We don't gotta mention names. Um, but before we started working together, like what were the results that you're getting like on average?
Yeah. So on the B2C, because completely new beast, I was like
Mhm.
average, I was getting like 4 to 6. Like I was
Okay.
like good months was like 669, sweet, almost there. But it would always fluctuate. And it
Yeah.
would always come down to like the lead quality.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, of these two, which one can I actually change? Either my skill set
Right.
or the leads.
Yeah. And what was it about maybe that you saw in like me or what I was doing that you're like, okay, this guy might know what he's talking about. Let me see what's going on.
So ultimately, it was YouTube is where I first found
Yeah.
you. I was searching up. I was like, okay, who uses this sales process? I need to see like start to finish someone actually using it so I can wrap my mind around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I see this cheesy thumbnail. It's like got the sales process, the old sales trainer, and you. I was like, oh, who's this guy? So I click on it
Yeah.
and I watch the video start to finish. And the way
Yeah.
you explain the process and actually went in depth with it, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So followed you a little bit more, went through all your other videos. I was like, oh, I'm having the same issue there. I'm getting stuck there
Mhm,
as well. And then I think
mhm.
eventually I just hit you up on Facebook. It's like, yo, do you do coaching?
Yeah.
Like the rest is history.
Yeah. Because for you, like you're doing 4 to 6. So it's not like you're doing like god awful terrible. Like you're getting some closes. So
Mhm.
like how were you selling before and what were you would say like the biggest roadblocks you're running into?
I was taking it as a script. Like the script I had, I read word for word. Like I
Yeah.
knew it back and forth, but I didn't know how to make it flow and conversational. Like whether
Uh-huh.
it was the agenda, what status frame, whatever you want to call it, I would read
Yeah.
everything word for word.
Yeah.
So naturally, it probably felt like it was in a sales process. The biggest thing I picked up from you was just making everything conversational. Like, don't
Mhm.
jeopardize the integrity of the conversation just to ask your next question.
Right.
And
And
it,
you yeah, go ahead.
yeah. And as soon as I started doing that, actually applying it, I was like, wow, this is actually fun. It's starting to flow. So
Yeah. Yeah. What was the biggest shifts you started to realize like once you started to make it more conversational?
once I started to make it more conversational, I got better answers. Like
Uh,
still working on it today, like still challenging, getting people to like
yeah,
break up a
right.
little bit. But if they don't feel like they're just getting a question after question and it feels like a
Mhm.
natural conversation,
Yeah.
when I ask them like an impact question or something that should be a little more deep, I'll actually get a
Yeah.
genuine answer. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, is that what it feels like?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just gives you ammunition for like the rest of the call.
Yeah. And that was a big thing we worked on. Like, what are good answers? What are bad answers? So
Mm-hmm.
let's run through it a little bit. For you, like, what were the type of answers you're getting that you would say would be more like bad answers?
It was like surface vague stuff. So like biggest thing for me was in connecting. I never like in the beginning of the call, I never had like a tangible problem or goal. So someone
Hmm.
say, "Oh, I just want to get into real estate." I'd be like, "Cool. What are you doing for work?" And I would just like jump into that route.
Yeah.
And then I would get into like actually asking the problem question and doing all that. Like, well, do you like what you do for work? This or that? And they'd be like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
okay." And I would
Yeah.
just keep going on. So it's like I never
Uh,
really got like detailed answers.
yeah. And if you don't get detailed answers or you don't have a direction for the call, like what were you typically running into, man?
I was getting running into a lot of objections at the end of the call.
As we tend to do. What are the biggest objections that you just kept getting slammed with?
It was I need to think about it. And
Think about it one.
it was like this smoke screen or I need to think about it, but it was I didn't really know how to do it. And like I had
Mm,
like some understanding of how to navigate. I need to think about it. But the
yeah.
way I was handling it got me nowhere. It just delayed the call another 7 minutes, and then I would hope and pray on the follow up.
Right. Because if you say I got to nowhere, like what were you actually doing? Like where was it going?
Yeah, so like I'd go through the like same steps that I would always that I was taught to do.
Yeah.
Eventually, I would go to hey, let's get like another like calendar, let's book another appointment. So at least there's another appointment on the books. And then
Yeah.
I would try to be like, okay, before I go, is there anything you want to go over? And they were just like, really, I just need to either think about it, sleep on it, yada yada.
Yeah.
Now with what
So
you've
it's one in
taught
a
me,
circle.
constantly. And
Yeah.
it's like I think 1 out of 10 follow-ups would come back and close.
Yeah. It could be rough.
It was.
Yeah. So what was the shift like once you started having better conversations? Like what were some of the biggest things that you feel like just allowed you to get deeper answers? And
Hmm.
then what type of shift did you actually notice that like when you did get to the end of the call?
Hmm. So when I started to get better answers, I was
Mhm.
actually able to move the conversation the way I wanted it to. Like one of the calls I had, like for where I sell right now, like the entire company reviewed one of my calls and they're like, take
Mhm.
notes on that. Do you see what he asked? They're like, everyone, can I get the transcript of it? It's
Yeah.
like, it was because everything was asked not by question, but off of what he
Oh,
said. So
right.
ultimately, at the end of the call, I was speaking his language. By
Mhm.
the end of the call, if there was an objection, not only did I have like the conviction to actually handle it, because like, dude, everything we've just discussed, like I know
Yeah.
this will work for you. I'm going to help you,
Uh,
and it's like just I just had way more conviction when objection
right.
handling though.
Yeah. And like that's one thing that it's really hard to teach is like having that conviction.
Mm-hmm.
But you said a really important thing, like using their language, which is something like I really harp on. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like using their language is really important when you're in like a sales conversation?
Yeah, well, especially like when I would go through it, like when I would use their language, they would just it would it's more like they were talking to a friend. Like if
Yeah.
I put words in their mouth or said, "Oh, well, it sounds like," and I would try labeling them with things they never said, they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." So they were never bought into it.
Yeah.
But when I was using their language, they were more bought in. They're like, "Yes, exactly." So it's like it was
Yeah.
better answers overall.
Yeah. Like this person talks the way I talk. And that's why I hate labeling because you're
Mm-hmm.
putting somebody in a box, which was like when you first came, like that's what you would do a lot. Because when you
Yeah.
try to put somebody in a box that they don't want to fit in, like how do they react?
That some people get squirmy. Some people are like get defensive. Like, no, that's not what's going on.
Yeah. And it's really only people who are more or less laydowns, or there are a
Mm-hmm.
certain type of prospect that actually do fit in that box. Like those are the only type of people you can close doing it that way.
Right.
It's like you can only get to like the 4 to 6K like per month doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you're able to connect with them better, was there anything else? I know like we worked on things like identity and things like that. Like have you been using that on your calls or like have you noticed like that helping?
Yes, especially in the identity frame when we're like going through like what have you done in the past? Like getting
Hmm.
that, I'm still working on it, belief.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
actually getting the belief, getting the crappy answers, slapping them around, getting the real answer,
Yeah.
right as we're about to like get into like, hey, like, what do you need? hitting them with that identity frame. Like
Right.
after doing that, I can't tell you so many times, like when I'm in objection handling, I can pull
Uh-huh.
them back and be like, hey, dude, if we're trying to become that investor that's doing this full
Yeah.
time, that has that time freedom, who do you need to become to actually get to there? They'll be like,
Yeah.
well, I have to do this, I have to become this, I like this habit has to die, yada yada. It's so much easier to pull them back in, come objection handling, be like, this is what we
Right.
wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because like identity is one of the like the highest levels that we can leverage to make people change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you having that like underpinning, especially when you get to objection handling. How have you noticed your objection handling changing from before we're just kind of going in circles and just delaying it for 7 minutes
Mm-hmm.
versus how we're going about it now?
I can say I've locked in a lot more payment plans. Now just having like the
Yeah.
clear, like step-by-step process. I'm like, okay, this is okay. Ultimately, is this a smoke screen? Is this the real objection?
Right.
After I get that, what is this person actually trying to tell me? Like,
Yeah.
it's because I've done it once. I'm trying to like fix it again. Like I'm not the best at fear objections yet.
Yeah.
Still getting there. But like
We'll work on it.
the guy had the money. Like he
Yeah.
didn't need a payment plan. So he had like 20, 30,000 set aside. So money wasn't an
Uh,
issue for him. It was actually that taking that first step and getting into it. I
right.
handled like the fear with him, still got him locked in. I was like, wow. I natural instinct would have been like, oh well, we have a payment plan if that would help you. And I was like, it
Yeah.
would have taken my commission from like 600 down to 200. So it was
Right.
like just able to actually understand what the person's telling you so you can actually help them.
Yeah. Not what they're saying, what they're telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because what's the difference?
Because like what they're saying is, hey, this is a money issue. I need to figure out the funding aspect. But what they're telling you is, yeah, I just need to sleep on it. I need to think about it. Like just like
Yeah.
random smoke screens.
Yeah. So it's just understanding the difference between like the words that are coming out of their mouth versus the actual belief, the meaning underneath it. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you just address like what they're saying out of their mouth, like they'll just put more hurdles in your way. But if you
Yeah.
can get underneath it, that's when you can actually address like what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yeah.
because like as far as the results, like this past month, right? Because
Yeah.
this has been your best month this past month yet. What
Yeah.
were the results that you got?
Last month I did $10,052.
Nice, man. So first time cracking 10K.
Yeah. 5 digits in 1 month.
Congrats, dude. And I was actually looking at the numbers. You took 20 less calls last month than you did the month before, and
Mm-hmm.
you made more than double.
Correct.
Right. What were the biggest shifts that allowed you from going to 20% close rate to 45% close rate in just 1 month?
For me, it was taking people out of the box that I put them in.
Yeah.
Like being able to have the conversation I needed to have with each and every prospect. Like one of the guys I had, he wasn't focused on money. It was more so around time and freedom and like how he didn't
Mhm.
want to end up like his parents and yada yada. That resulted in a $25,000 sale just
Yeah.
because I was able to have the conversation I needed to have.
Yeah.
Because you've seen it every time that we've done it. I try to put them in like that one specific box.
Yeah.
Like you're getting somewhere, but you're not getting to the root cause of it. You're not getting the true
Right.
pain, and you're not going to truly be able to help them because they don't feel heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just by actually having the conversation I need to have, it led way more sales.
Yeah. Because I know one thing we worked on quite a bit is especially people who are already doing like quote unquote well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which when their pain's not as apparent, it's hard to get them to admit like the problems that they have. So
Correct.
what are some shifts that you made on like working with those people who are quote unquote well to actually get to their pain so we can make a $25,000 sale?
Mm-hmm. For me, it was like if it wasn't obvious that they were BSing you or lying to you, it was literally just grabbing them, sitting them down, slapping them around a little bit, and just going like, "Hey, I can obviously smell this is BS. So let me use a reframe
Yeah,
here. Let me kind of shift the way you're thinking, so we can get on the same page." Like one
right.
of the things I've used the most when someone's like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm really looking for," is like the doctor analogy. Like, well, if you
Yeah,
walk into a doctor's office and just that's that, it shifts the way that they think. Like, okay, I can get what you're coming from now. Well, this is what I'm looking for, and it kind of just
yeah,
helps you to keep the conversation moving forward and effectively.
yeah.
Like,
Good.
yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
you
ahead.
go. Because like the biggest thing I noticed when like reviewing calls with everyone else is their calls are like an hour, hour and 30 long. But like when they would
Mm,
review my calls, it was like 35 minutes cash collected. So they're
yeah.
like, look how effective the call is. Look at this. Take notes. And I was like, yeah, huh, okay.
Like this shit might work.
It just might, just maybe.
Yeah, it just might because like the biggest thing I know we've gone over, especially with people who are like a little bit further on, like they're making more money. Just like
Hmm.
understand, like everyone's wearing a mask. They just tend to be wearing a thicker mask because they have external things they can put on their mask.
Yeah.
So it's just about like letting them know, like, hey, bro, I'm not the one, right? Because they've probably hopped on like tons of sales calls before,
Right.
and they've just gotten away with lying to people. So
Hmm.
if you just subtly know, like not being a dick, but if you just subtly let them know, like, hey, stop lying to me, like you're able to actually get to the real thing and get to the real pain. And then once they have a need, like those people are the easiest to sell. It's just most people can't get to their actual need.
Yeah. That's where
Right.
things kind of fall short.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely, man. So do you have like if somebody's watching this, do you have any advice, if they're really wanting to make sure like they can break, the 10K and
hmm
get beyond, like what would be like the number one advice you would tell them?
And number one advice would be just don't accept BS answers.
Yeah.
Like legit, it just because someone says something, like just double down on it. Sometimes you just got to ask why, and it's all you need to just get them over the edge to get the true answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Know the difference between a good answer and a not so good answer. Actually understand why you're saying certain things, like
Yeah.
understanding the why behind it, which also is going to tie into the tone,
Hmm.
right? Like the tone, the why behind it, rather than just a question. That's what allows you to actually connect with people,
Yeah.
right? So, next step, 20K per month,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Fucking get it, dude. Okay. And then, yeah, we just take it from there, man.
Awesome, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much going to be it.
Chop, cut, whatever. One thing I was going to add, if you want to throw it in somewhere, is actually just picking someone you want to study them.
Yeah.
Because when I was dancing between you know who and you and like a couple other people I saw on Instagram,
Yeah.
it gets so hard because I would try to
Yeah.
label, I would try to follow the process, I would try to double down. It wasn't until I actually started studying just you, like I ignored everybody else, put away
Yeah.
anything else, that I really saw the most success with it. Because right now, like I know I'm doing an objection handling. Is like when someone, because again the leads are just crap, so I lose a little of the motivation to objection handle them. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, I just need to sleep on it. I was like, oh, well, it doesn't take time to make time to make an educated decision. It takes information, like an Alex Hormozy close. And I
Yeah.
was like, it doesn't click. And I was like, earlier today, the guy's like, oh, my card's not working. Let's whatever. I strictly did precision closer, everything you taught, and I got the deposit. I was like, okay, just stay on the yellow brick road, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Do what actually works, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're doing a bunch of different stuff, and then just double down on what actually works, what's getting you the results, and then scale it to the moon.
Yeah, man, I'm ready for fucking 20K. Like the fact that side note, because I'll let you go after this, whatever. After we got off
Yeah.
the call, I shot Jared a text. I was like, dude, I thank you for the little bit of like, dude, just join the fucking mastermind. Like, just get it over
Yeah.
with, pull the band-aid off. Because I got in the same, like I was excited to hop on the next sales call. Like I
Yeah.
got on, the guy's like, oh, I really don't know what I'm looking for. Was a rambler, shut him up, slapped him around, got to his pain, got a deposit. Fingers crossed he'll come back tonight at 6 when we got our follow-up call. But I at least have
Mhm.
some sort of commitment. So I'm like, it's
Yeah.
just that feeling. I was like, okay, this is, I can actually see achieving 20K a month
Yeah.
in the next 3 months.
Yeah. Absolutely. You bet on yourself, and then you don't accept other people not willing to do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
100%, dude. All
well,
right. Cool, man.
hopefully you got enough content. Sorry, I was pretty
Yeah.
dry. I need to get a caffeine. I'm fucking tired over here, but
Just do cocaine like a normal person.
I'm out, dude. You know that 10K goes so quick with tax.
It's fucking gone.
Fugazi. All right, brother. I will
um,
see you on Thursday.
yeah, we got our
Actually,
one-on-one on Thursday, and then group call tomorrow
tomorrow. I see that.
and Thursday as well.
Okay. I'm fucking hyped for that call.
All right, cool, man. All
All
right,
right. I'll see
Justin.
you then.
Bye.